Hello and welcome to Descent into Madness. Now, today I'm going to try a new format where I'm going to try to be in front of the camera as little as possible and just, not only just do gaming, but talk about things in front of gameplay. If you watch Review Tech USA, it's very similar to that format. It's just no different than talking in front of a slideshow or a still image. It's a new format. But anyway, since I can only record so short with the free version of Bandicam, I am going to do part 1 of my top 10 screw-ups by Nintendo. Now, I want to get one thing out of the way right now. I love Nintendo. Okay? But it's a company. They've made mistakes. They have. Now, we're going to only do 10 through 6 today. But I hope you enjoy. Now, number 10. The N64 controller's design. Okay, pretty obvious one here. Why are there 3 handles? I don't know. No one knows. I don't even think Nintendo knows. But I have no, nostalgia or anything like that. But from what I've played and what I've seen and what I've heard, I like the console a lot. Not holding it against the company. Moving on. Number 9. Aggressive marketing in the 1980s. Now, this is only... I'm only talking about Nintendo of America here. Nintendo of Japan was doing no such thing. But in the 1980s, mainly 1985 and onwards, Nintendo of America was being very, very aggressive with their marketing and how they treated other companies for the NES. Pretty prime example, when you made a game for the NES, you had to sign a contract saying that you will only make games for the NES for, I think, 5 years or something like that. And there's this, old urban legend. I heard this, by the way, from the book Console Wars. There's this old urban legend that this mom-and-pop tech store from the 1980s wanted to get a little edge on the video game market, so they reduced the price of NESs at their store by 10 cents. Nintendo did not like this, so supposedly their shipment got, quotation marks, lost the next week. And a other tech store that supposedly told Nintendo what this mom-and-pop tech store was doing got a, quotation marks, double shipment of NESs that week. That is just an urban legend, but it's an example. And also, retailers, even if they had a complaint about how they're on how Nintendo told them to sell their consoles, they were scared to tell them. Nintendo was that powerful that they actually could make people scared of them. And it gets the number 9 spot because they chose to actually make people scared of them. But again, not holding it against the company. Number 9. Oh god, I'm sorry. Number 8. Lack of third-party support for in the newer days. That's generation 7 and 8. Now, prime example of this, the fact that for the Wii, I love the Wii very much, but for the fact that they chose to make the Wii different than their competitors, PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, so developers didn't want to make the Call of Duty games, the Assassin's Creed games, the popular things that they could just duplicate on an Xbox and Xbox 360 and PS3 and make more money. They took one look at Nintendo's Wii and said, oh, what is this, motion controls and stuff? No HD graphics? No, I'm not trying this. If you could hear a constant, kind of springy sound, I'm hitting the spacebar really hard a lot, I'm sorry. I'll hit it later. Anyway. And many people say that's why Nintendo is losing right now in the console race. And to people who say that, I say, I see your standpoint. I see where you're coming from on this one. And Ubisoft even said that they are done making mature-rated games for the Wii U because of the lack of sales of Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag for Wii U. There's very little copies of the game Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. I'm sure if you're a gamer, you've heard of it. There are very little copies of that game sold on the Wii U platform. So, because of this, Ubisoft officially said, we're done making mature-rated games for the Wii U. And that's just a prime example of what I'm talking about here. And I only have 4 minutes left, so I'm going to speed this up a bit. Number 7. Sony and Nintendo. Mainly, Nintendo making Sony mad. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it was the whole scandal where, or not really scandal, but event where Nintendo was working with Sony to make a CD add-on to the Super Nintendo. They went behind Sony's back. They started talking about the same project with Philips because they thought apparently Philips invented the CD, so they thought they'd be a better choice for this. And judging by PS3 today, that was a huge mistake by Nintendo. Number 6. Working with Philips. Working with both Sony and Philips for the SNES CD. Kinda what I just talked about. You see, what happened here, I'll explain the whole story. So, like I just said, Sony and Nintendo were working together to make a CD add-on for the Super Nintendo. But, for some reason, Nintendo thought that they were, working too much with Sony, considering the sound chip was already, in the Super Nintendo, was already made by Sony. So they thought, that's enough, let's work with Philips. They didn't tell Sony this. They randomly made this statement at, I believe, the Consumer Electronics Show, 91, I think. And obviously ticked Sony off, and PlayStation, and the rest is history. But not only did the PlayStation happen, but the dreaded CDI games happened. And spoiler alert, we're gonna get back to those later. Okay. Finally, number 6. The Nintendo 64 DD. If you do not know about this, it is a add-on for the N64. No, it is not just a proposed add-on like the SNES CD was. This was real. This existed. This was sold on the market. The Japan market. Or the Japanese market. I don't know. Huge failure. That's why I'm even bothering to put it on this list. They did propose to sell it in the US, but decided they didn't. Or not to. God, I am just screwing up left and right this video. Kind of like what I'm talking about right now. But obviously it was a failure enough to say, maybe let's not even try in the US. I'm thinking that deserves the number 6 spot on this list. Well,
hey, Pokemon
we only have a few 15 seconds left. A J-Woods video I was watching randomly just started playing, and I hope you had a good day. Stay tuned for part 2.